Hey y'all. Oh. All right. I'm going to tell you something that gets under my skin. So I just finished watching Texas Pictures documentaries, which are very, very, very enlightening and very educational. They're very raw. Um, Talks about all kinds of things from trafficking. The person said they were trafficked and they tell you their story, or they lost a family member to drug addiction and that kind of thing. And I just finished watching it. And the wife was getting on my nerves, to be quite honest. And I'll tell you why. First of all, she was attracted to him because she used to be a drug head also. I'm just going to keep it real. Drug addicted people, or people who have had that past history or currently do drugs, they can find another drug head in a crowd. So naturally, there's an attraction, and that's bad. That's really bad, because that's just not going to go in good places, and it did not go in good places. So she got with him, and he had kind of a small attention span. He would be really into something, and I'm going to make this business work, and then as soon as he'd get it started, he'd lose interest and do something else, and then something else, and something else. So he could not focus. And then I forget, he was passionate about, I want to say, skateboarding, and that kept his focus. That he didn't lose focus like he did with everything else. And then he decided they got married. He got involved with drugs. She knew he was in drugs, whether she wants to pretend she didn't know or not. She knew. She knew. She used to be into drugs herself, so she knows when he was acting weird that something's going on. But she decided to get pregnant with 2 kids. And I never, you know what? I'm never going to understand that either. A child is not crazy glue. Let me say that again. A child isn't crazy glue. They are not going to keep the family together. So before they're even born, they have a job, and their job is to keep mommy and daddy together. And that just does not make any logical sense at all. It doesn't. And deliberately got pregnant. I mean, they went through in vitro and everything else, and it just doesn't make any sense. You know, he's going through some changes right now, and you pulling people in by having kids, you pulling people in who didn't ask to be part of that, is very irresponsible. So he kept getting deeper and deeper into these pills, and so she decided to threaten him with a divorce and get an attorney. And she said, he knows I wasn't going to go through with it. Okay, now hold it right there. Hold it right there. You don't waste an attorney's time by going through a fake divorce, or by going through, well, I'm going to waste this person's time to give my husband a wake-up call. No, you don't do that. You don't waste somebody's time like that. This person is a professional. They don't have time for that nonsense. So either be real about it and do it for real, or don't waste somebody's time. So that was getting on my nerves. Okay. And then the things that she was saying, it was so minimizing of, and family members do that. They're super, super duper enabling. Super enabling. Well, they started drugs, and it became out of control, and they kept doing them no matter what. And, it's a disease. You have to understand it's a disease. You know what? Don't fucking tell me that. Don't stop saying that. Because it's self-inflicted. And I made that comment under the video, and I don't give a shit who gets mad. I don't care. It is self-inflicted. Don't you dare sit here and compare that shit to cancer, liver failure, kidney failure, leukemia, or any other type of disease that a person didn't do on purpose. Don't you dare put them in the same category. Don't you freaking dare. I understand that because you were abusive to your body, just ignore my screen. I forgot to put on Do Not Disturb again because I'm silly. But don't minimize the fact that they did this on purpose. Do not jump in front of a train. And then if you survive getting hit by the train, it's the train's fault. You got to understand the train was coming down the tracks. No, I understand it. You put yourself in front of the goddamn train. Don't do that. And I don't want to hear nothing about, oh, you don't understand addiction. I understand enabling, and that's what you're doing, number one. Number two, it's self-inflicted. Number three, my father's been a drug head ever since he created me, and he's still a goddamn drug head. He's just functional. Okay? I've been involved with people, two people that had drug addictions back in the day when I was young and didn't know no better. And I'm trying to help them and make them go into therapy. And that's not how it works. They want to be in the boat they're in, or else they wouldn't have put themselves in the boat. You know, when you put something in your mouth or inject something or snort something, you know it's a bad deal and you're going to do it anyway. And then you got all these dizzy family members and friends saying, well, you got to understand. I don't have to understand shit. I understand they did it on purpose. You know, when you start, it's a bad road. Okay? I don't have to run inside a prison before the guards could stop me and run through a crowd of inmates, and then something terrible happens to me. You can't blame the inmates. I was the fool that ran in there. What they did is wrong, true, but still. I went busting up in there, and they're like, hey, cool, we're going to have some excitement today. You put yourself in that boat and then you blame the drugs. And then there was another thing she said, which I know she was still in denial, because she said something along the lines of, I filed for divorce and then some more pills came in the mail. Let me stop you right there. No pills came in the mail. He ordered more pills. Do you see the minimizing? They just happened to come in the mail. They didn't have anything better to do that day, so they just threw themselves in the mailbox and then dragged him up by his shirt, shoved him against the wall, and forced themselves down his throat. Stop this stupid madness. If you did it on purpose, which is what you started doing, because everybody has to have escapism. We cannot be a grown man or a grown woman and accept responsibility for what's in our head. We cannot be mature adults and go to therapy. We can't go to group therapy. We cannot do anything that's going to help, but we're going to go ahead and jump down this dark tunnel and hope to God it results in good things. You jumped in a dark tunnel. You don't know what's in that tunnel. You know it ain't good though. You've heard of people dying from overdose. You ain't that much in a fog. You know. Even if you don't know them personally, you know of somebody who died that way. The pills came in the mail. Oh, that irritated the hell out of me, because she's still minimizing. The pills didn't go no damn where. He ordered them to come to him, and he put them in his mouth. And what did I say before? Your mouth is the door between life or death. Your mouth or your arm, the needle in your arm, or whatever way that you decide to ingest, that is the door between life and death. So if you take that chance, especially knowing that this isn't like back in the day, okay? Another mistake that parents make is they act like, well, we got high back in the day. Okay, marijuana is called a gateway drug for a reason, and only people who have done drugs will say, nah, that's not true. Not true, my ass. A lot of people start with marijuana. Hey! Come here. Sorry, guys. Get over here. A lot of people start with marijuana, and that doesn't give them a fix anymore. So they got to go do something else and something else and something else. And I need something stronger. And that's what he told this husband that died. He told the guy he was getting them from, that batch wasn't strong enough. Well, the next batch was not only strong enough, but it killed him. I'm pretty sure that's strong enough. I don't have a lot of patience when people do things on purpose and then everybody decides to make it fluffy and try to make it not that bad. And you got to understand they were going through things. I understand that every person that has breath in their body is going through something. That doesn't mean you escape to something that could take your life. This isn't back in the day, okay, when you were getting high with marijuana. This is a totally different ball game. Fentanyl, which is how it is pronounced. Stop saying fentanyl. I fucking hate that. Oh my God. And everybody parrots what they heard. Fentanyl, fentanyl, fentanyl. It ain't fentanyl. God dang it, it's fentanyl. Talk proper. If you're going to talk proper. Sometimes I can't because my brain is Play-Doh, because I have fibromyalgia and it messes with my speech. But if you don't have fibro, talk proper. It's fentanyl. Stop putting ALL in that word. It ain't in there. Okay? Drives me nuts. Escapism is why people throw crap in their face in the first place. They're running. Running doesn't solve anything. And I've said this before, but it'll never happen. You mark my words. It'll never happen. Stress management needs to be taught in high school. We don't run to alcohol. We don't run to promiscuity. We don't run to pills. We have to put on our big boy draws or our big girl draws on, and we got to face life head on. And if we can't handle it, we don't look for answers at the bottom of a bottle. We don't look for answers in a pill. We don't. Because it's a dead end. It's a dead end road. You know, and you know that before you start. And everybody feels sorry for you. And with the drug addiction, there's lying, pathological lying, and stealing. Sometimes stealing money out of your family member's wallet. Having somebody lie for you so you don't have to go to work tomorrow because you're buzzed out of your freaking mind, and your family members have to lie and tell your job that you've got the flu or whatever. The whole family gets ripped apart because of this shit. So why everybody's so protective of the drug addicts, I have no idea. It rips the whole family apart. For some family members don't speak to the other family members. This is bad. They're at the funerals. Half of the family is not speaking to the other half because of the enabling and making excuses, and people get sick of that. Or they blame the person. Well, you're the one who gave them money for more drugs, so it's your fault. If it wasn't for you doing that, the person wouldn't be dead. You know, so there's fingers pointing in all directions and enabling and stupidness going on. It rips the whole family apart. Rips the whole family apart. Destroys families, friendships, all of that. Makes no sense to be that defensive of someone who didn't really respect their life. They didn't. And being lost is not a good enough reason to start doing something stupid that can result in you dying. Every pill, every medication nowadays can be, and in some cases is, laced with fentanyl. Not fentanyl, but fentanyl. Almost every drug is laced with it, potentially. You thought it was a Percocet? It's not. Now you're dead. You thought it was ecstasy? It's not. You're dead. Come on now. When does the person who is going down the rabbit hole, when do we get them to take responsibility for their own actions? And when do you stop encouraging this behavior? Here's some money. You said you need groceries. They don't need no damn groceries. They're going to get high. Okay? I told a friend of mine who's an idiot. We're no longer friends. Not because he's an idiot, but although, yeah, that is a reason. I might as well be honest. He's just a disrespectful idiot, and I'm done with his asinine behavior. But I told him point blank before I quit talking to him, way before I quit talking to him. He's got to be everybody's savior. He thinks he's Jesus. He's got to save every broken person. He can sniff out broken, helpless people everywhere. I don't know why he does. He needs to be needed. And I've talked about that before. He needs to be needed. He's so desperate to feel important. He's so desperate to feel needed that he deliberately hones in on, like a laser beam eyeballs, will find broken people in a heartbeat and enable them to continue to be broken. He will never tell them, hey, and we've had issues with this before. I said, stop enabling them. You need to tell them what resources they could tap into. You have to explain to them, hey, when he was working, well, he works now, but I'm just saying when he was working at the ABC channel, okay, station, I should say. I said, these people have to understand that you work all night and that you need to get home and get some rest. And you cannot leave work every day to go put Pampers on their ass. They're going to have to be an adult and they're going to have to tap into some resources that will help them. If I'm at work, call this person or call this person. She's a social worker, or call the hospital. They know what to do when you don't have any transportation to get to the hospital and you can't pay your bills. They will know what to do to help you, rather than being like a drug addict and putting your eagle talons in somebody else and ripping their flesh off their body, but they're so tickled to be wanted, they don't care. It's just stupid and dysfunctional. So one of his pals, like I said, pathological lying goes right along with drug addiction, and people are okay with being lied to too, because they're going to keep defending the person who ripped up the whole family. We're going to keep defending them, which is stupid. But anyway, his friend lied, told him he wasn't on drugs anymore. He's clean and he's happy to be clean, which is a lie. Okay. I need a ride. He likes everybody to be completely reliant on him. He don't want you to have a job, money, your own car. He don't want you to have your own bank account, nothing. He wants you to be completely helpless, which is stupid. Anyway, so the guy doesn't have a ride, of course, because those are the people he gravitates towards. He's not going to help anybody get on their own feet. He'd rather you be helpless the rest of your life because he needs to feel important, which is enabling and stupid. Anyway, so I need a ride. So he listened to the lie that he's clean now. He don't do drugs, but I got to go see a friend of mine, that. He went and saw the guy, and the guy gave him drugs. And he took the guy home. Well, the guy died of an overdose. And you know me, I'm not, look here. I am not going to sugarcoat it at all. Because I done told him about this stupid shit, saving every damn body. I said, not everybody wants to be saved. What is wrong with you? And he will argue to the death, because that is how he gets high. He gets high thinking he's saving everybody. He don't want you to stand on your own 2 feet. He wants you to be helpless, like I said, which is dysfunctional. If you cared about this person, you would help them stand on their own 2 feet one day. You ain't going to be around forever. If you died tomorrow, they'd be screwed. And he goes, no, yes. You ain't living forever. Okay? It's just asinine. And I told him. He said, well, I said, what happened? He said, well, he told me he was clean. I said, and you fell for that? Well, I thought he was. You know, they lie all the time. And then what? Well, I took him to his friend's house. You mean the dealer? Yeah. I didn't know he was getting drugs. Next thing I know, he died of an overdose. I said, well, you helped him die of an overdose because you took him to the guy. Well, he told me he was clean. Oh my God. Pathological lying goes with addiction. You know that. You wasn't born yesterday, okay? You know how this works. You helped him die because all he cares about is saving you. I got to swoop in and be a personal taxi to everybody. He finally told one woman who thinks she was dependent on him for everything. He's the only person in New York? Really? She said, I need a ride. He said, listen, I cannot give you. He finally said, I cannot be around for you 24 hours a day. I cannot. You're going to have to find another ride because I got this going on over here. I said, well, you've been needing to have that conversation with a lot of people a long time ago. The second he got off work, these selfish mofos knew he worked all night. They didn't care. As soon as he get off, bling, 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 the phone is ringing off the hook. They know god dang well he ain't got a lick of sleep. And because he's so desperate and needy to be needed, he'd go racing to help everybody. Which is potentially deadly on his part because he could fall asleep behind the wheel. You ain't slept all night. You worked all night. But at least he died saving somebody. Asinine. I've dealt with it personally. My stupid idiot sperm donor father is a drug head. I've dealt with my best friend's husband was a freaking alcoholic. Okay. He worked for, I think he worked for AT&T. Whoever he worked for at the time, he had great insurance, which is bad. You know why? Because his insurance was paying for him to go to rehab, and he was still drinking. He was on medication. She eventually left him, thank God. But he was on medication that if you drink alcohol, you will puke your everlasting guts out. Do you honestly think he cared about puking his guts out? Nope. And his company kept paying for him to go in and out of rehab constantly until they finally got tired of it. But they paid for it multiple times. You want to snatch people's insurance now. We're in 2025. You want to snatch people off their fucking insurance. But yet you got somebody who was an alcoholic and you stupid asses were paying for him to go to rehab constantly. Our priorities are in the wrong goddamn place, okay? It just aggravates the hell out of me. And it's going to be offensive when you keep saying it's a disease. It is self-inflicted. Anybody who has cancer or any other disease that they didn't choose would be a little bit pissed off that you're throwing addiction into the same category of a disease that they had no control over. They didn't pop a pill and got cancer that way. They didn't inject something in their arm, and that's how they got cancer. They got cancer for a lot of reasons. It could be it's genetic that runs in their family, or they were exposed to whatever chemicals or, whatever the case may be. They've got unclean water in the town they live in or whatever. And because that happens too. The water's got toxins in it, and you'll have somebody in the entire town. Almost everybody has cancer. That does happen. But again, that's not self-inflicted. Don't put them in the same category. Anyway, I love you guys. Take care. Much love. Hugs and kisses to everybody. Mwah! And I'll talk to you fine folks later. Bye.